I decided to title my autobiography Mixed Feelings because it's symbolic to the person that I am. I am what they call Afakasi, also known as half Polynesian. My nationality is American, and my father is of Tongan, Fijian, and Samoan heritage, and my mother is of English, German, Irish, and Italian heritage. My dad has been able to connect with his heritage, and my mother has not. My parents are the most influential people in my life, and most of my behavior can be traced back to their lessons. If you know my parents, you might understand me a little bit better. My dad's full name is Fotu Tawatahi Tauveli Kulihapai Potawaine, and he grew up in the islands of Tonga with my grandma Paya and his grandpa Tupo with his 7 other brothers and sisters. He doesn't have very many pictures of himself growing up because he accidentally burnt his house down while chasing his sister with a stick of fire. My dad comes from extremely humble beginnings. Although he would be considered to be in poverty, he never saw it that way. He knew he had everything he needed. With my dad's background, many of the American customs bother him. He is astounded by the amount of time people spend on their devices, especially television and processed foods. My dad sets super high standards, especially when it comes to his physical health. He is the cook in our family. We eat fish nearly every day and a lot of vegetables and fruits. My dad has a real talent because everything he makes is incredible and super healthy. My dad has also super high standards when it comes to education. He was the valedictorian of his class in Leahona, and he graduated from BYUH where he met my mother. My mom's name is Gwendy Elder, and she was born in Texas and raised in Utah with my grandpa JD and my grandma Roxanne, along with 3 other siblings. My mom was raised with incredible work ethic just like my dad. My grandparents never had the fun college experience. They were very strict and disciplined, and they quickly earned their degrees from BYU. My mom and grandparents are very frugal and good with money. They know how to save money, and they know how to have fun too. My mom is extremely fun and creative. My friends come over for me, but they stay for my mom. My mom's family also has high standards when it comes to school, and my mom excelled in math. She tutored during college and received magna cum laudes for it. She graduated with my father from BYUH while raising my brother and me. My brother was born in Utah, and I was born in Kailua, Hawaii. In my early years, I knew I was Tongan, but I never learned the language. I wish more than anything I could speak so that I could talk to my grandma. No one has ever made me feel like I was less Tongan in my family because of it. For some reason, that has only happened here in Utah. But if my dad says I'm his Tongan girl, that's exactly what I am. My dad always did everything he could to support his family, and he decided that we make the move to Texas when my little sister Paige was born. Since we were in the mainland, we were able to spend more time with my mom's family. Even though there was an obvious difference in appearance, it was never an issue or a problem. I knew I looked different, but my family always told me that I was confident. Even though I went to a very dominant white school, I never had a negative experience with race growing up because no one ever told me there was a problem with race. If I did have a conflict with someone, I would first reflect on my character before I ever thought to reflect on the color of my skin. I thank my family for that. Even though we were away from my dad's side of the family, we found some Polynesians in the heart of America. I grew up with 3 Tongan families and 1 Samoan, the Sikas, Falitaos, Tuiones, and Soifuas. It was ironic because all of our dads were straight from the islands, but their moms were also non-Tongans. We never had a conversation about it, but I do notice it now. I always felt like I could fit in anywhere, but with them it was effortless. My first teacher's name was Sheila Moy, and she was from Hawaii. Every Thursday, my mom would drive me and my sister an hour away to practice. I was hooked. I had another kumu named David. He was extreme, but I admired his obsession and respect for the Hawaiian culture. We had to oli before we entered the room, and our costumes were never to touch the ground, and we also made our own regalia. David brought well-known kumus from Hawaii to come to Missouri and hold workshops, and we also danced with the Makaha Sons. Ironically, I found more dance groups through my dad's rugby team, the KC Islanders. My dad is the president and founder of the group, and I was so happy to be a part of it. All of the daughters of the rugby team members were called the Rugby Girls, even though we didn't play, and they were very protective over us. It was like having 30 older brothers. We would travel across the nation with the team as their official water girls. They were always at my house. We had eatings, days on the lake, and fundraisers. The rugby team was dominantly Samoan, and they were my family. Some of my best memories were spent with them. During their fundraisers, I started to get approached by other groups. Since then, I have been a part of 16 different dance groups and performed in other states like Cali and Oregon. I have learned so much from all of my teachers. They all had different styles and different techniques that I had to adapt to. I had some crazy teachers that would hit or scream at their students. Some students would cry every practice. I never got hit or screamed at because I made sure I knew the dances. I also started the Polynesian Club at my school, and we performed for school assemblies and other functions. I loved that I had a way to connect with the Polynesian culture through dancing. I met so many other girls through dancing, and they have become my family. Ever since I was little, I always belonged to several different groups of friends. Oftentimes, there would be conflict because two groups didn't connect that well. I think this has a lot to do with my own background and coming from two completely different cultures. My very best friend growing up was straight from Venezuela, and her parents adopted me into their family. I had foreign exchange student friends from the Faroe Islands and Thailand, and they would stay with my family. I had two best friends in my class. One was straight from Tahiti. Her name was Nohea Meritarangi, and the other was Wendy Siavi'i, and she had just moved to Missouri from American Samoa. We stuck together throughout high school, and I learned a lot about the Samoan culture and Tahitian culture from being around them. We all did track together, but Wendy was the obvious star when she broke the school record. I had plenty of friends in high school. It was kind of trendy and cool to be, as they would so call it, foreign. High school was a breeze for me. My mom was a principal at the middle school, so almost all of the school staff knew who I was, and I was expected to act like a principal's daughter. I was super involved. I was a class officer. I was a performer. I participated in minority business programs. I was in DECA, NHS, and I was recognized for my academics. I loved my high school experience and I recognized all my blessings, but I received the biggest one on December 16th when my mom shocked the world and had little Sione Leatawa Fotuatawa Tahi, also known as Little Tahi. I love this little boy more than anything. My Auntie Make has come to live with us, to nanny him and teach him Tongan. He will be so blessed growing up with the language in his life. I have known about being Tongan by being around my family. When I'm with my dad's side of the family, we can have so much fun doing absolutely nothing. We just eat, relax, and talk. We make games and find entertainment where you couldn't find it with any other group of people. With my mom's side of the family, we go on cruises to the Catalina Islands in Central America. We rent out a cabin in Yellowstone, we zip line in Alaska, and tour through Canada. We hike the Grand Canyon, we go skiing and sledding, and we pet tigers. We always plan activities and save money, and I love it. I love both sides so very much. Each has their pros and cons, and I'm so thankful for it. My parents are the complete opposite, and they are both represented in me. They share the most important things like willingness to serve others and hard work. My dad provides and takes care of his family by sending them money. He also takes care of members of the independent Samoan community by providing them with whatever they need, whether it be bail money or if they need a place to stay. My mother and I would tutor kids from the Samoan community in our home to ensure their success in school. My family recently took in a foster kid named Isaiah McFall and had him baptized into the church. They also took in one of my cousins who was struggling in school so that my mom would tutor him and keep him on the right path. We stay out of trouble by keeping ourselves busy. We had chores, we worked outside on the yard, and we do service projects and activities together. I'm most proud when I look at my family. I carry many of the lessons I have learned in life from my parents. When I think of this class and the discussions we have had about culture, I think of my parents' teachings. To relate this class, I have used small stories because that is how my dad teaches his lessons, with a story from his past. My mom usually uses examples or studies to get her point across. American culture values raw data and numbers to support their claims. My mom values the same thing, especially because she works for the school district. What's interesting about having my perspective is because I get to hear two sides of the story. My dad would be considered counter storytelling because his stories are told a lot less often than the ones my mom is familiar with. My dad sees and values things a lot differently from my mom. The proof is shown when I spend time with both of my sides of my family. I am most grateful for my family's acceptance. I have never felt less Tongan or different from my cousins. I have actually never felt that way until I came to Utah. I felt the need to prove how Tongan or Polynesian I am when I know I don't have to. I just am. I realize now that the problem isn't that I'm only half Tongan. It's that the other half is white. Let me say this. I am not ashamed of that side. It's what I am. It's my mother. It's my family. But the negativity that is associated with whiteness is not me, or my mother, or my family. And I am so much more than just Tongan and white. I am a student, I'm a member of the LDS Church, I'm a skeptical thinker, I'm a dancer, I'm a girl, I'm 5'6", I'm a teacher, I'm a daughter, a sister, and a friend. All of these things can also determine behavior. All of these things are the reasons I like the things I like and the reasons I think the way I do. I think people are paying way too much attention to race behind motives when they need to focus on all aspects of culture. As an ambassador, it's my responsibility to educate others about culture. I know we had a class discussion about authenticity and sharing culture. Let me be clear. Culture must be shared, or they will not understand you. We must share our own culture. Moana was a perfect example. Was it 100% accurate? No, it wasn't. Do I love it? And do I think it's sharing our culture? Yes, I do. Now, do sacred things need to be shared? Not necessarily, because that is sacred and it has a proper setting. PCC is one of the best things to happen for youth from the islands who want to go to the school. It is authentic and an excellent representation of the Polynesian culture. PCC has made BYUH affordable for people like my dad to attend college. When people enter PCC, they aren't paying for culture, they are paying for the experience. They are paying for all the resources, the electricity, the time the students take away from their studies to perform for them, the food they eat, the water, the costumes, the canoes even. That's what they're paying for. The cultural experience they receive doesn't have a monetary price because it is priceless. I am thankful for this class. It has opened my eyes to a lot of different perspectives, but I hope everyone understands how important it is for us to share our culture.